Welcome back, y'all. Just me today. I'm out here working in the garden. As you can see, I've got this thing cleaned up finally. This was driving me crazy. I hate seeing a growed up, overgrown, messy garden. But anyways, I've already tilled over this one time. So today what we're going to do is put this garden to bed, as you could call it. I'm going to sow a cover crop on this garden today. And I kind of feel like I'm beating a dead horse here, but I just can't emphasize enough how important it is to keep something on your soil growing at all times. You don't want the soil looking like that right there. You need something on it all the time growing. And so over the winter, we're not going to be growing any productive crops in this garden. Although I might plant a little bitty strip down at the very bottom of like some mustard greens or something like that. But other than that, there's not going to be any productive crops in this garden. So I'm going to put it to bed, so you could say, with a wintertime cover crop. Now the cover crop that I'm going to use, and one that I prefer the most, is crimson clover. I think crimson clover works well. It's very winter tolerant. I've used several cover crops in the past that if you get a real hard freeze or something like that, it'll kill them out. Crimson clover doesn't do that. Crimson clover is pretty hardy to that kind of stuff. But also, crimson clover will grow pretty good. I mean, like, it'll get fairly tall between now and next garden season. And so you'll have a lot of biomass to till back into your soil. And not only that, it's a good nitrogen fixer. So if you don't know what a nitrogen fixer is, a nitrogen fixer gathers nitrogen out of the atmosphere and it stores it in its roots on these little nodules on the roots. And then when you till that cover crop back in, you release that nitrogen back into your soil. So in turn, it's sort of like a living fertilizer. Plus, it captures nitrogen in the green part of the plant too. So when you till it back in, that also releases nitrogen back into the soil as that green part breaks down. Anyways, I'm going to show you today on what you do if you're wanting to put your garden to bed. I see so many people all the time who just, when summer's over with, they're done with it. They don't do anything else. We're done with the garden. We'll worry about it next spring. Don't do that. Please don't do that. If you're not going to have wintertime crops growing in your garden, please, please, please plant some kind of cover crop on it. It don't matter if it's nothing but like some winter rye. Just something to hold that soil together, to keep weeds down, to just have something growing in that soil, feeding your microbes and everything that are in that soil. And it just keeps your rotation really good and clean, so to say. But anyways, I'm going to till over this one more time. You want to try to get your soil not quite as good as if you were actually going to plant your garden. But like all these corn stubbles here, this would not be acceptable if I was planting my garden. However, planting a cover crop in this, it's not going to it's not going to make any difference. That's not going to bother me one thing. That can lay there, it'll break down, decompose, whatever. The main thing is just to get you a good seed bed worked up with some loose soil where that seed can make good ground contact. And then you just want to sling the seed out and make sure you sling it thicker than what the recommended rate is. Because your goal is to get coverage, not to produce a crop or anything like that on it. Your goal is to get coverage. You want coverage on your soil. You don't want to look down and see soil. You want to look down and see plant. So anyways, we're going to get started. I'm going to go out here and get the tractor and see if we can't get this one knocked out. I've got the garden across the creek to do. I don't know if that one will end up being on video or not. I've got a lot of cleanup to do down there before I plant it. But this one is pretty much ready to go. I'm just going to till over it one more time. We're going to get that seed out there, and I'm going to show y'all just how simple this is to get your garden ready for winter. And then next spring, all you got to do is till that stuff under. Boom, you're ready to plant. So here we have the crimson clover seeds. And you can see the crimson clover seeds actually aren't that big. They have a coating on them that is what you call inoculant. These seeds are pre-inoculated, which means they have the bacteria on them. I think it's bacteria or whatever it is. It's something that you have to do to these legumes to make the nitrogen fixing process work. It's a bacteria that has to be on that seed and has to be at the root zone in order for it to fix nitrogen the way it's supposed to do it. So that stuff gets a little bit over my head. I just know you got to do it. But anyways, I'm gonna spread these seeds out. It doesn't take very much seed at all, especially for an area this small. And you know, with these small seeds, they just get really good coverage out of them. But you want to make sure you're using some kind of seeder. You can do it with your hand, but with a seed that small, in my experience, I mean, unless you're just really good and really patient at it, it's hard to get an even amount of coverage with your seed if you're just using your hand. So I've used this old Earthway spreader here. This thing's old, y'all. I've had this thing probably 10 years or more. I mean, you can tell. This thing's been through the ringer and back. But I think these seeders have gotten pretty expensive now, actually. But I'll see if we can't post a link in the description to Amazon to one of these seeders. This is by far my favorite, like, chest type spreader. I mean, you can buy the bag spreaders, you can buy these spreaders like this. Out of all of them, this one is my favorite. However, if I use this one with my landscaping business too, so that's why I wanted one like this. But if you were just doing your home gardens and just work around your house, you could easily get by with one of the cheaper bag type spreaders, and we'll see if we can post a link to those too in the video description. Matter of fact, I used to have one until the gear stripped out in it, and I bought this one. But anyways, I'm gonna throw these seeds out here. Now, I will need to go back over this and either rake them in or use something to kind of press them into the soil. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to use for that yet, because this soil out here is so loose that if I run back over it with a tractor, I'm really going to be mashing it back down a lot, and I don't really want to do that, but that may be what I end up doing anyways. I'm really not sure. But anyways, and one other thing about this video, y'all, I apologize for this strange glare you probably see in the sunlight. I'm using my phone. Normally we're recording off of Megan's phone. My phone's a whole lot older, and it does funny things sometimes like that. And I just looked back at a video I just recorded, and I seen it was in there. And so, y'all, I apologize for it. I'm aware that it's there, and I'm sorry. But anyways, I just wanted to get this information out there to y'all, because I feel like this is something pretty important that it's that time of year to do. Here in our zone, we've got it's September now. It's mid-September. We can do this kind of stuff all the way pretty much through October and be fine here in zone 7. So this one I'm sort of getting an early start on. I've still got several more fields that will be sowing in cover crops that are in no way, shape, or form even close to being ready. So if you're in zone 7 or anywhere around zone 7, I wanted to go ahead and get this information out there to you so you'd know to be go ahead and thinking about getting something on your garden. But anyways, enough chit-chatting. Let's get back to work. Well, there it is. You see just what kind of coverage I got right here on the seeds. See all those little white things? That's the seed. So I didn't do a small strip right across here, and this is where I'm gonna sow me some mustard greens. If you've watched our previous videos, you know we've already sowed a patch of mustard greens, turnip greens, and turnips up the road here to our other spot. Well, that patch is actually looking pretty good. There's a couple of thin spots in it. But I just decided that since I've already got this tore up and it's right here at the house, I'll go ahead and sow me another patch too that we can just walk to right out our back door. Instead of having to go up there. And up there, we can just, well, like we said in that video, we like to share with our neighbors. So all of the neighbors know where that patch is. We can pick some out of it if we need to. That patch will probably most likely be the one that has turnips in it because it got sowed earlier and it's coming on, you know, already, and this one's getting sowed a little late, so there's a chance we may not get turnips out of this little patch. But anyways, the crimson clover part of this is done, and we're expecting rain tomorrow, so I'm tempted to not even try to cover those seeds up. But I really just don't know if I want to take that chance or not. I think I'm actually going to go out here and hook up to my little cultipacker. It's a piece that goes behind the tractor, and just run it over it and sort of press all that down. But anyways, I'm going to go get my mustard seeds now and throw that out. There's my mustard and my turnip seeds. Same seeds y'all seen us use in that previous video before. And I'm just going to sling these out right across the top here. And these I will not cover up because these seeds are so small that it won't take much to have them too deep. But I believe I will try to cover up the other ones. But anyways, we'll get these slung out and then we'll go get the other tractor and lay this garden to rest. Well, I got my cultipacker hooked up. This is the cultipacker, and what I do is run this back and forth over the loose soil now, and it'll kind of pack that seed into the ground. You do not have to have one of these to do a cover crop. It's just the tool I have, and so it's what I choose to use. However, you can simply do it with a rake, a drag, or anything. So that makes quick work of it. One thing I don't like is when you do it like this, you have your tractor tracks that are all mashed down and like that right there. But it'll still work. And you can see it just mashes that soil down around those seeds. You can still see some of the seeds being exposed. That is completely fine because these little seeds like this will germinate without being covered up by the soil. I just wanted to get the majority of them mashed into the dirt or into the soil to create that soil to seed contact. And it turned out pretty nice here. And as long as we have good germination and everything, we're done with this garden till springtime. We won't touch it. We won't do nothing else. I will do this same process with every single field we plant. Once I get the crop that's on it now off of it. But anyways, I guess that's about it for this video. Hope you learned something. Like I said, you don't have to have all these tools to do a cover crop, but it's what I have, so it's what I choose to use. But you can simply throw seed out with your hand and then drag a rake over it to be done with it. But no matter what you got, I recommend, please put you some cover crops on you. Even if you have raised beds, sow a little cover crop mixture if you don't have any productive crops growing on during the winter. Just don't leave the soil bare. At the very minimum, mulch them with something, some straw or hay or wood chips, whatever you got. But do not leave the soil bare over the winter. But anyways, I hope you learned something. I'm going to go get started on my other garden, and it's much bigger, so it'll be much more work. But anyways, hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll catch y'all on the next one.